Our objective today is to conduct a fundamental reevaluation. We will no longer analyze Hitachi Construction Machinery as a manufacturer of physical assets. Instead, we're going to correctly identify it for what it has actually become, a geopolitical hegemon that controls the global extraction layer through, well, a physical operating system. This number right here is the foundational fact of our entire analysis, 14,000 kilometers. Now, I want you to understand, this isn't just a number. It represents the absolute conquest of physical distance. It's the distance that separates a digital command, a simple string of code executed in a climate-controlled command center in Tokyo, from the immediate kinetic actuation of a 290-ton haul truck navigating the harsh, unpredictable terrain of Western Australia. And to be perfectly clear, we are not talking about a pre-programmed route. This is real-time dynamic control. This isn't logistics. This is the weaponization of physics at a planetary scale. So to deconstruct this strategy, we're going to proceed through 6 core analytical perspectives. You need to understand that each of these layers is not independent. Each one builds upon the last, culminating in a multi-layered competitive moat that is, for all practical purposes, completely insurmountable. Okay, so our first perspective. This addresses the brutal physical reality of this remote operation. This isn't just about automation. That's a solved problem, really. This is about achieving a state of perfect, instantaneous synchrony between the digital avatar in Tokyo and its physical twin in the Pilbara, separated by half the globe. We're now going to dissect the physics that makes this possible and, more importantly, the physics that makes it impossible for their competitors. The quantitative results, as you can see, are, well, they're stark. A human-operated fleet is inherently limited by biology. You've got fatigue, legally mandated shift changes, safety buffers. All these factors cap operational efficiency at, let's say, an optimistic 85%. But Hitachi's autonomous haulage system, it suffers from none of these constraints. It operates at near-perfect duty cycles, 24/7, 365 under any conditions. And this translates directly to a 30% surge in raw material throughput and a 15% structural reduction in the total cost of ownership. Now, these are not incremental gains. They represent a fundamental phase change in the operational economics of extraction. This is precisely the difference between a legacy asset, which gets valued at maybe a 6x earnings multiple, and a tech platform, which commands a 25x multiple. The market is just now beginning to understand this distinction. The core technical challenge here is latency. To maneuver a 290-ton mass, and think about that, that's the equivalent of 2 Boeing 757s, with centimeter-level precision, it requires a round-trip signal response time under 100 milliseconds. Anything greater, even 150 milliseconds, introduces a catastrophic risk of collision because of momentum and hydraulic response lag. Just imagine a half-second delay when you're trying to stop a moving building. Hitachi hasn't just solved this fundamental physics problem, it has turned the solution into a strategic, non-replicable weapon. We term this strategic philosophy latency obsession. It is an engineering principle that treats that sub-100 millisecond response as the absolute, non-negotiable barrier to entry. And you have to understand, this is not achieved through software alone. No way. It requires a vertically integrated system. First, they leverage SpaceX's Starlink low Earth orbit satellite constellation, which operates at an altitude of about 550 kilometers. This drastically reduces signal travel time compared to traditional geostationary satellites way out at 36,000 kilometers. That alone brings the round-trip latency down from over 600 milliseconds to a much more manageable 40-50 milliseconds. But even that's not enough. The remaining gap is closed by their proprietary edge computing nodes. We're talking hardened supercomputers installed directly on the machinery. Each machine preprocesses thousands of telemetry variables locally, and it only transmits the most critical data. This creates an unbreachable physical barrier to entry. A software-only competitor based in Silicon Valley simply cannot replicate this. The laws of physics, specifically the speed of light, forbid it. All right, let's now move from the laws of physics to the laws of market power. In our second perspective, we're going to analyze how software has been weaponized to achieve absolute market dominance, strategically subordinating multi-million-dollar hardware from direct and historically dominant competitors. This right here is the critical strategic maneuver. We've termed it the physical-digital inversion. You see, for a century, the value resided in the forged steel, the engine, the physical asset. That paradigm is now dead. The value has migrated entirely to the code. The operating system is now the master, and the physical asset, regardless of its multi-million-dollar cost or its manufacturer's legacy, has been demoted. It's now a simple peripheral, entirely dependent on the OS for its every single function. And the mechanism for this inversion is Hitachi's Wenco OS. This is the Trojan horse. It's a hardware-agnostic fleet management system, so it doesn't just control Hitachi's own trucks. Its genius lies in its ability to integrate and command the hardware of its primary rivals, Caterpillar and Komatsu. By providing a superior management layer, it infiltrates a client's mine site and establishes itself as the mine's central nervous system. In doing so, it forces competitor iron to function as subordinate nodes within a Hitachi-governed ecosystem. The strategic lock-in achieved here is, well, it's absolute. For a mining major like Rio Tinto or BHP, which operates fleets of hundreds of vehicles across multiple sites, removing the Wenco OS wouldn't be a simple software swap. No, it would be a full-scale operational lobotomy. The entire fleet, including their Caterpillar and Komatsu assets, would simply cease to function cohesively. This creates switching costs so prohibitive, we're talking retraining, reintegration, and billions in lost productivity, as to be practically infinite. Our third perspective examines the financial consequences of this technological dominance. You see, Hitachi isn't just re-engineering mines, it's re-engineering the balance sheets of the entire industry. The traditional model was simple, and for the client, incredibly risky. It involved a massive capital expenditure for a piece of machinery. From that point on, the client owned all the associated risks, maintenance, fuel costs, and most critically, downtime. Hitachi has completely inverted this financial equation. They are no longer selling a machine, they are selling a guaranteed outcome, a service level agreement that's priced per ton of earth moved. This shifts billions in capex right off their clients' balance sheets, converting it into a predictable, manageable operating expense. The client buys throughput. Hitachi, with its superior predictive capabilities, owns and aggressively mitigates all the operational risk. So how can Hitachi confidently underwrite this risk on a global scale? Through a sophisticated form of financial hedging we call predictive arbitrage. Inside its data centers, a perfect digital twin of every single machine in the field runs in a constant state of simulation, fed by millions of real-time data points. So when the AI predicts with 99.7% certainty a specific hydraulic failure 300 hours in advance, a part is automatically dispatched from a regional hub before the physical failure ever occurs. The key here is that Hitachi is monetizing the downtime that never happened. They are capturing the economic value created in that time gap between a prediction and a potential multi-million-dollar failure. This isn't maintenance, it is a form of financial engineering executed with physical assets. Now, let's broaden our analysis to the geopolitical plane, because the control of physical infrastructure for critical resources has profound implications for national and alliance security. In an era of accelerating supply chain fragmentation and nation-state cyber threats, the Wenco OS has become the de facto trusted democracy standard. As the Quad nations, Japan, the US, Australia, and India aggressively purge high-risk software and hardware from their critical infrastructure, a Japanese-controlled operating system provides a secure, transparent, and politically aligned layer. It's designed to protect the global flow of strategic minerals, lithium, cobalt, copper, from espionage, from data exfiltration, or from hostile infiltration by state-sponsored actors. The ultimate strategic lever, however, is what we term the kill switch. The centralized control architecture, which allows for global optimization, also provides the theoretical ability to throttle, to halt, or to prioritize the extraction of critical minerals on a global scale, all from a single command center. In a severe geopolitical crisis, this represents a potent, non-kinetic tool of statecraft, a lever to influence policy without firing a single shot. Our fifth perspective is internal. How did Hitachi Construction Machinery develop the agility to execute such an aggressive transformation, outmaneuvering more traditional industrial giants? Well, the key inflection point was the 2022 capital restructuring. Prior to this, as a subsidiary within the vast Hitachi conglomerate, HCM was frankly shackled. R&D cycles were slower, more bureaucratic, competing for capital with dozens of other divisions. By creating strategic distance from the parent company, HCM unlocked a new level of strategic and financial agility. It gained the independence to operate like a venture-backed tech firm, pouring billions directly into the core technologies of its new strategy, edge computing, sensor fusion, AI, at a pace its more traditionally structured competitors simply could not match. Finally, our sixth perspective projects forward. We'll now analyze how Hitachi is positioned to use environmental, social, and governance mandates as a mechanism to create an inescapable competitive choke point. The mechanism here is a deliberate three-step process. First, ESG-driven capital markets are placing immense, non-negotiable pressure on mining majors to decarbonize their operations. Second, Hitachi is deploying the world's first and only fully integrated solution, autonomous, all-electric, trolley-fed haul trucks. This zero-emission plus zero-human system connects to an overhead power line on uphill grades, charging the battery while eliminating diesel consumption during the most energy-intensive part of the cycle. Third, competitors who can only offer piecemeal solutions, maybe an electric truck without the autonomous OS or an OS that can't integrate with electric powertrains, they simply cannot meet these stringent new mandates. They will find themselves locked out of the green capital required to fund future projects. This represents the final evolution of their business model, compliance as a service. At this stage, Hitachi is no longer selling equipment or even throughput. It's selling guaranteed adherence to the complex, ever-shifting regulatory and capital market mandates of the future. It is selling access to capital by being the sole provider of a fully compliant operational model. They've effectively turned a regulatory burden into their most powerful competitive moat. So let's synthesize these perspectives. The entire strategy is built upon a fundamental principle that has been, frankly, overlooked by Silicon Valley. And it's this: big data is strategically irrelevant if you do not control the physical layer where that data actuates. This is the core axiom of 21st century industrial power. Value is not in the algorithm alone, nor is it in the hardware alone. The entity that owns the interface, that precise point where digital command translates into physical movement, that entity owns the entire value chain. Hitachi has mastered this interface. And this brings us to the final critical question for your own portfolios. We have seen how Hitachi leveraged physics to create a technical moat, weaponized software to achieve vendor hegemony, re-engineered the industry's financial model, established itself as a geopolitical linchpin, and is now poised to monetize regulatory compliance. They understood that fundamental principle: he who controls the interface between digital command and physical movement owns the value chain. So I ask you to look at your own investments. In your respective industries, is your firm an operating system, architecting the ecosystem and controlling the flow of value? Or is it merely a peripheral, a commodity asset, just waiting to be subordinated by a competitor who has understood this fundamental, irreversible shift in power?